All right, so we are finally back with season 42. And before I get into the war fights and defense planning, I just wanted to go on a little rant about this global. I didn't do much in the off season because this global was overtuned. 5 prowess, and you could be gaining 100% of their max power per second. So it was pretty crazy, but specifically on 5 nodes and when Havoc was placed anywhere that technically Doc Ock couldn't take. So someone power locking pretty conveniently. Those nodes, I believe off the top of my head, 12, 19, 22, 36, and 39. So the first 3 of those all have aggressive prowess, and then the other 2 have mighty charge. The problem with those nodes were that the defender would gain prowess and power as a result from this global without being touched. So if you have to bait a special in any way, shape, or form, and they were gaining 20% of a bar of power per second for each prowess, they would very easily get to special 3 without you ever touching them. So if you had to bait a special attack, it was pretty much over. And then the mighty charge functioned like a shrug even when there wasn't a debuff. So again, if they're dashing back and forth when you're trying to bait a special attack, they're going immediately red even if you try to stop them. So first 2 wars, it was just getting obliterated by Havoc, actually, from that aggressive prowess or just from his own. He's more of a problem because he converts his plasma to prowess. So same thing. If you're not hitting him and he's throwing heavies and special attacks, he's going immediately red. If you don't have someone like Doc Ock who will power lock him right when it happens. But there wasn't really any footage. We spent that time being like, hey, this is overtuned. Can you fix this? Or at least give us a better attack tactic. And, some time went on and I didn't place for some wars to let others gain loyalty. And then they nuked the heck out of the global. Not what I would have done. It's down to 2% of a bar of power per second for each prowess. So it's nothing crazy, even though here it's written wrong. So the visual description is still bugged, but it works the way it's supposed to, at least the nerf version. Not the route I would have gone. I gave some suggestions back immediately when they nerfed it. I thought it was too much. Told them maybe somewhere in between 5 to 10% is ideal. And what I would have done was just adjusted the attack tactic. Give a few of those armor burn champions not just an indefinite armor up at the start if they didn't have one, but also some sort of Nimrod ability where either they gain 3 prowess or at a bar of power they are either power locked or special locked, to give your attacker time to actually touch them, pull power, and then keep them from going red. And it wouldn't be a permanent power lock or special lock. It would probably last 3 or 5 seconds. Just like Nimrod. So the attack tactic at the moment, the only purpose it serves is ripping off prowess and then pulling off a tiny bit of power. But again, for those specific nodes in Havoc, you can remove them having a special 3. But if you have to spend even a second dancing to try and get that special 2 out, they're just going to go red and it'll be game over. Once you run out of invulnerability boosts. And then depending on how many special 3s you take in that fight, it's GG. So that's what the offseason was. Didn't feel like there was any content worth it. Just like this season, it's going to come down to low deaths and 1 or 2 deaths deciding wars. And it's not really going to limit attack options. So that's why I decided to do this before going through the defense. You're going to have Agent Venom teams nuke everything. You have Ghost teams nuke everything. You have Kingpin teams nuke everything. You have Corvus nuking everything. There's really no limitation from the global for the attacker, which creates these really close, low death wars at the top. So wanted to get that out. That was the end of the rant. Let's take a look at the defense we had for War 1 and kick this video off the way we normally would. And then hope that next season 43, we actually have somewhat of a challenge with the global. Yeah. All right, so this war we had Apocalypse, Ghost, and Omega Red bands. All right, so Boss Island, Kingpin Boss, you've got Kitty Pryde, who's whitelisted. Can probably get away with Absorbing Man or Valkyrie. The global, again, not really an issue. You can kind of control it. But if you do care about the global, some of the armor burn champs, I would just go with those that don't heavily rely on debuffs and have a lot of armor ups for removing prowess without knockdown. Mangog back there, you've got Quicksilver, S99, Mr. Negative, Professor X, you've got Nimrod and Omega Sentinel, Doom, you've got Magneto, Kitty Pryde, Bishop, you've got Infamous Doom and Kitty Pryde, Korg, you could go with Absorbing Man, Kitty Pryde, Chavez, you've got Rolk, you've got Anti-Venom, and then Shocker, you've got Gallon. I'm sure even Scorpion would work. 1 through 3 on the way out. That node changed. Nimrod there is a pretty easy Hulkling fight. Can even beat Gallon. Path 1, you can take the whole thing with Omega Sentinel or Warlock. Path 2, S99 Titania for Spidey. And then Crossbones, you can use Omega Sentinel with Odin, or you can use Infamous Doom. And then Path 3, Cosmic Ghost Rider for Infamous Doom, or you could use technically any bleed immune for that node, so even like Dragon Man would work. 4 through 6 on the way out, long shot, you've got Rolk and Kitty Pryde. Maw on the way in, you've got S99 and Titania. Path 4, Spot, you've got Fury, Crossbones, Mole Man, and then for Havoc, you've got Warlock, probably Doc Ock could probably work there as well. Path 5, Rintraw, you've got Titania, you've got Mr. Negative, and then JJ, you've got Valkyrie, and actually Jabari Panther for that cleansing. And then Path 6, Annihilus, you've got Hood, you've got Doom, got plenty of options there. And then for Storm, Infamous Doom or War Machine should do pretty well. Any of the armor burn champs, honestly. 7 through 9 on the way out, Magneto, you've got Nimrod, you've got Omega Sentinel, and then Cersei on the way in, you've got Absorbing Man, you've got Dragon Man, so plenty of mutant options, mystic options there. Path 7, Kate, you can go with Colossus and a White Magneto pre-fight, or could even go with Rogue, and then Domino, Omega Sentinel, or Nimrod. Path 8, Storm, Pyramid X, any of the armor burn options. So Nimrod's not armor burn, but Nimrod should do fine, but so would Omega Sentinel. And then Fury, you've got Kitty Pryde, you've got Colossus, you've got plenty of options for him. And then Path 9, the whole thing can be taken with Absorbing Man. You can also use Jabari for Void, and then maybe use, who would you use for, Blade for Mephisto. Looking back at section 2, 1 through 3 on the way in, Future Antman, you've got Hulkling and you've got Magneto. Absorbing Man, you've got Quicksilver, you've got S99, you've got Scorpion, plenty of options for him there. And then Mojo, you've got Antman and Cassie. 1 through 3 on the way out, Jabari Panther, you can go with Nimrod, you can go with Warlock, you can go with Omega Sentinel. Path 1, Thing, you've got Valkyrie, you also have Warlock or Omega Sentinel. And then Path 2, Sasquatch, you've got S99 and Titania. And then Path 3, just bring any poison immune, so Warlock, Warlock, Hulkling would work as well. 4 through 6 on the way out, Zemo, who might be a problem this season. You've got Colossus. Sure, you can get away with Absorbing Man. Can also use Guardian with a White Magneto pre-fight. Path 4, Nova, you've got Absorbing Man and Doom. And then for Toad, you've got Omega Sentinel and Nimrod, maybe even Infamous Doom. Path 5, Hulkling, you've got Hood and Claire. Kitty Pryde, you've got Nimrod and Omega Sentinel. Path 6, Omega Sentinel or Nimrod for Wags. And then Mantis, you have Colossus or Rogue or really any of the armor burn options. Slap on a combat regen and it turns off her tranquility while it's regenning. 7 through 9 on the way out. Apocalypse, you've got Rolk, you've got Nimrod. Path 7, Sauron, you've got Omega Sentinel and Nimrod. Mole Man, you've got Colossus with a White Magneto pre-fight and Rogue. Path 8, a very easy Absorbing Man fight, can even doom it on Null. And then Path 9, Quicksilver, you've got Jabari, Panther, Cosmic Ghost Rider, Shang-Chi, and then for Weapon X, you've got Nimrod or Mega Sentinel. So that does it for defense. Let's take a look at attack. All right, so War 1 is against Legion. Today I'm going to be taking in White Magneto, Omega Sentinel, and Hulkling. I've got Path 3 in Section 1 and Path 1 in Section 2. No mini bosses today, but I got a couple shared fights. So, Omega Sentinel, rank 5. Happy to bring her. She's going to be big for this global, especially when it gets stronger. Might even get banned pretty consistently. But Path 3 here in Section 1 only has an Immortal Abomination. We're going to take it with Hulkling. All you need is a poison immune here. The node is nothing for him. He doesn't have an armor up, so you don't have to worry about spaced armor or anything like that. All you're doing here is spanking him around with special 2s. So what you're going to see is I'm actually going to build 4 Pierce buffs. And this is just so that when I'm ready to build to special 2 and throw an unblockable special 2, I've only done 1 blocked hit, which means only 1 weakness from hitting into Immortal Abomination's block. So we've got that set up. 1 more hit into block, 1 more Pierce buff, and we'll go unblockable. So now I'm just baiting out specials as I build the special 2. Here, we're just waiting for him to get passive. There's the hit, and then we throw the special 2. And then I'm just going to rinse and repeat that for the rest of this fight. While we have the double fury, we are going to take advantage of that. And then, of course, constantly bait out these special attacks as we build. And that's it. Kind of just forcing a poison immune here, to be honest, with this placement. But there's nothing really challenging to this setup. So here we are again. I'm waiting for those weakness buffs to expire. Now we have just the 1 weakness. We throw the special 2 again, unblockable. We're almost done. Parry here, combo to finish it out. So, like I said, pretty straightforward fight. Next, we place pre-fights. Here, I don't only place a White Magneto pre-fight, which I'm not honestly going to use, but I do place the heal block weapon for Omega Sentinel. We are never going to heavy and change out of it. This node has increased regen, and she gains the regen buffs, so we're just going to keep the heal block on. What that means is we're going to do full combos, placing heal block or pausing it, so ending with a medium, ending with a light. Since we have all these armor ups, we're going to remove every prowess that Jabari gains from our crits. On top of that, I was trying to push her to special 2, but as you can see, the armor burn is enough to keep her from ever reaching special 2 before I get to my own special 2. And that's just the result of how many armor ups that Omega Sentinel has. So we throw the special 2. Here would be a good time to pause. So we pause and boop goes Jabari Panther. So pretty easy placement. Even if we had the overtuned global, that would still function the exact same way. Move on. Now, future Antman here, I was super nervous about. And it's not the unblockable that I'm nervous about. It's the regen. So I've seen a video of this. We had a rank 4 Bitter Steel. If you haven't seen his channel, go check it out. He took this last season. And when I saw the video, pretty much crap my pants during his video. So here we wait out his armor up buff, and then we need to get a pierce buff. Here he actually lets me intercept him, so I back off. I need to get this pierce buff because it'll prevent him from getting any armor up. So now we're not going to worry about glancing. And from here on, I was just going to play hitting into future Ant-Man's block, bait out special 1s, and throw special 2s with cosmic power back boosts. The problem here is that the unblockable will fall. We won't build 4 Furies from throwing 2 back-to-back special 2s. We might only build 1 from time to time. And honestly, we would play this all day and just completely spank this guy if it wasn't for the regen. So we actually have to chain these special twos. And there I thought I was closer to unblockable than I was. We have to chain these special twos so that we can KO him with the power back boosts. And you're going to see near the end, it gets kind of sketchy because I'm going to have to push him red in the hopes that I KO him instead of him regenning all his health back. So here, pretty good. Get him to back off. There might be an argument for a max sig rank 4 or 5 Hulkling being able to wait out the regen when trying to bait special ones, but here we go with a special 2 chain, or even just like actually KO him during the special 2 chain. You see here, we're out of the unblockable. We're down to 3 Furies, only a little bit left. Nothing crits here. Unfortunate. He's down to the last sliver of health. Try it again. Furies are kind of low because it's not with the Pierce buffs, and we're not unblockable. And now I'm just kind of like, all right, let me just combo him, throw this next special 2, and luckily that first hit crit, so we get out. I think in the future I would definitely prefer Magneto, but Max Sig, rank 4, rank 5 Hulkling probably does that a lot easier. Once we got through that fight, the rest of my war I wasn't worried about. Attuma here, we're going to use Omega Sentinel. We place the heal block weapon again. That's just so that we can bypass the node. Never back down won't trigger as often. Plus, he won't get the charge with reinvigorate and go unblockable. So really here, we're countering the global. We're countering the heal from Attuma. We're going to take some thorn damage. That's not a big deal. The key thing here is if you don't have a white Magneto pre-fight, you are never parrying him because that's going to convert your heal block into a concussion. That's going to increase his thorn damage and chance to trigger thorns and this, that, and the other. So really, to keep this fight super simple, it's keep this heal block weapon active, so never throw a heavy, bait out his special 1s, and then always end your combos with a medium, build the special 2, throw the special 2, and the Incinerate is actually going to make him lose hydration quicker than if he didn't have it on him. So pretty easy fight as long as you can get Attuma to throw special 1s. At the beginning there, it was a little touch and go, and I think I accidentally parried him once. But yeah, it's a very safe Omega Sentinel fight. When banned, it could get a little bit more interesting. The next best option besides Warlock and dealing with maybe some unblockableness is Civil Warrior, since he has the heal block, and then he can take Buffet on the next node since he's Nullify immune. So Attuma down, we move on, we get ready, heal back up for our Buffet fight against Emma. Here it does not matter which weapon, so I keep the Cowardice weapon so that we can reduce the prowess potency in case we get hit with a special attack, which we're not going to. But here, pretty much the same thing. We're Nullify immune, so Buffet is never going to trigger, so we never have to worry about unblockable and reinvigorate. And then we're an armor up champion, so we never have to worry about power gain from the global. We're just going to constantly rip that prowess off. So it's really just bait special attacks, push the special attacks, build to our special 2, maybe get as many of these debuffs up before the special 2 so that we can increase the plasma we'll place, since we are fighting a mutant. And she's not immune to plasma, so we don't have to worry about that whole Incinerate's not going to place. She's immune to it. Nope, she gets plasma, thanks to the mutant class versus Omega Sentinel. So pretty easy, very straightforward fight, and is exactly why I wanted Omega Sentinel for this path, outside of the fact that she's rank 5. So almost done here, just got a little bit left. This last combo, maybe even the tick of plasma should do it, and down she goes. So good showing from Omega Sentinel. And then our last fight here is Nimrod. Now this node did change. What you pretty much need to know is don't fight this champion with energy attacks and don't place Incinerator Shock. So we're taking this with Hulkling. It's got Burden of Might though, and Hulkling is immune to the power drain aspect of it. So we're actually going to build charges from this node, from that node ability. The only thing that's going to be different compared to your average Hulkling versus Nimrod fight here is that your combat power rate is going to go to crap as soon as you get enough buffs, but that's fine us converting our shape-shifting charges into buffs give us power, and therefore we are still going to gain that power as normal. So building to special 2, not a problem. I had actually sat in the boost window, the pre-fight window, thinking of which gray boost I was going to use, and when the thought came that I wasn't going to use any, I was like, all right, I guess I'm going to start this fight. And then in the fight, I went, oh, yeah, that's right. I was going to PS1 here just to make it quicker, since I still have these cosmic boosts on. That would have made the fight over like that. But instead, we had to build the special 2 the first time from 0. But as you can see, it's just rolling from there. Not a big deal at all. This is kind of a silly placement for Nimrod, considering Hulkling and Gallon exist and are immune to Burden of Might. So yeah, this is pretty much it. It's got Reinvigorate Unblockable on it, but Nimrod doesn't have any healing, and you're not fighting with energy attacks. So that fight ended my war, and good 6-fight war to start the season. As I said, deaths are going to be pretty low at the top with this global. So RBG ended up dying less than theirs, so 2-1, and that was actually pretty awesome because we won this war 5-3. So we were actually done at 150 with 3 deaths. They were at 143. I think they had 7 fights left, maybe even less, 147 with 3 deaths, and then they dropped 2 there at the end. So hope you guys enjoyed the video. Happy to be back. Glad there's a war season going on. Give you guys some entertainment, myself included. But yeah, we'll see you guys at the next war video. Hit subscribe, give it a like, and I will catch you guys at that next war.